Welcome to another episode of The Profile. I'm Gary Dunn, and in the hot seat tonight is Mr. Brian Davidson.
Gary.
Brian, how are you, mate?
I'm good, mate, thank you. Good to see you.
Look, did you get the catering tonight, the cakes and the...
Got to look after the boys.
Yeah.
Look after the boys, you get the right questions.
Yeah. Thanks for bringing in that mud cake and all the other stuff you brought in. So, let us begin.
Let us.
Yes. Where were you born?
Subiaco,
Yep. And what instruments do you play, Brian?
a guitar and badly.
Badly?
Mm.
You sing as well?
Yeah, did a bit of that, but could have taken a few lessons off you regarding guitar, Gary.
No, I doubt it. You know where you would have ended up. So leave that alone, okay? So what was the turning point in your life where the light bulb went on and you thought, well, this is what I'm going to do with the rest of my life?
About music, I guess
Yeah.
you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah, I heard the Beatles' first track, 62.
Wow.
Love Me Do, loved the song, and within 6 months I was off to a guitar school.
Wow. Do you eat lettuce?
I like lettuce, actually. I have it every day.
Do you?
Every day.
Yeah.
Alan Simpson actually has it every day as well.
Does he?
Often buys a lettuce.
Okay.
See him out there buying lettuces all the time, actually.
So let us ask you the next question.
Right, let's.
Okay. First band, Whirlwinds, 1963. Who was in that band, Brian?
Well, you had Bob Roach, who was a bass player. Had Alec Watson, who was the singer. Bill Diener, who was the rhythm guitar player. And a friend of mine who's passed, drummer Greg Holtham, and myself. So
Okay.
all neighbourhood boys.
Yeah. And sort of like just formed from school days?
Yeah,
and-
school days.
Yeah.
Yeah, 14-year-olds.
So you went to the Billy Barnes School of Music.
I did.
What did you learn there?
Not very much. The first thing they sold me, no, he was all right, Billy
Yeah.
Barnes, but they sold those banana guitars, Barry. You know,
no,
ones
yeah.
on the way, Gary. You know,
Yep.
the nice banana guitars. But you just had to do what you did and jumped on the bus every Saturday morning and ducked into Perth and had a lesson for an hour and
Yeah.
came home on the bus.
Yeah. So tell me about Stonewall Jackson, Virginia Volunteers.
Are you sure you want me to?
What sort of music was that? Stonewall Jackson, Virginia Volunteers. Yeah.
Well, the band was dressed up in sort of Confederate gear. And it was the brainstorm of a gentleman called Tom Russell.
Yeah.
And he was in the Whirlwinds at some stage as a vocalist, and he used to love, all those sort of Confederate sort of things. And his
What are Confederate things? Sorry.
like Gary Puckett and the Union Gap
Oh, okay.
and all
Yeah.
that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
So we were playing that sort of material, and also anything that was Southern American, he wanted to do. But it was just a side project that was a bit of fun.
Yeah, cool. 1968, you join up with Peter Nell. Interviewed Peter the other week, and he
Yes.
mentioned you, of course, and the band was called Bread.
Correct. We didn't have any. That's why it was called Bread.
Yep. Did that have anything to do with the Gates thing? Bread, the band, David Gates?
No,
Or-
nothing to do with that at all.
No.
No, not
So
at
why call it Bread? What?
because we didn't have any money.
Oh, okay. You wanted some bread.
We wanted some bread. Yeah, definitely.
Okay. Because bread was money in those days.
Correct.
I've just got it. Yeah,
Yep.
that was that hippie thing, wasn't
That's
it?
correct.
Yeah.
Yep.
So how long did that last, and who else was in that band?
Well, the band was interesting because when we got to Kalgoorlie, because Peter had approached Wendell Parnell and myself to join the band.
Yep.
So when we got to Kalgoorlie, we had day jobs and we gave them up. And when we got to Kalgoorlie, there was no contract.
Oh, yeah.
And Peter told us there was. So he said, well, look, and that's very Peter, as you know. So he said, look, hang on. And he ducked off and he was gone for 2 hours. And he came back and said, I've got a gig. We're going to play the Albion Hotel in Boulder.
Wow.
And we start in 2 weeks' time.
Wow.
And I thought, 2 weeks' time? No one had any money.
What are we going to do for the next 2 weeks?
I had $60.
Wow.
I gave them $12 each.
Jeez.
And we survived for 2 weeks.
Jeez. Unbelievable. Did you know Mona?
Mona, yes. I mean, Mona was well known in Kalgoorlie.
And $12 got you through that 2 weeks.
It would have been nice if it was, but no, it wasn't. But we often used to go to Mona's after the nightclub closed, and she was, looked after us in the right way, so it was good.
It was funny, we had a bit of a joke with Steve Ram the other week about Mona, and look, no offence, Mona, if you're still around or whatever, it wasn't my idea. I have to ask the hard questions, and you know, it's okay for everyone else to say, yeah, just ask that.
She used to like lettuce.
Did she?
Mm.
In what form?
Or whatever form. She used to
Okay.
like salads and things like that, yeah. Right into lettuces.
Okay, so you went into partnership with the band and the owners of Sylvester's. So who was in that partnership and how did all that happen?
Yeah, that was a nightclub at the
Yeah.
top end of Hannon Street. The band and the owners of the club, they actually had the premises, didn't know what to do with it. So we suggested maybe we start up a nightclub.
Yeah.
Steve Ram, who you interviewed a couple of weeks
Yeah.
ago, was playing down the road near Mona's,
Yeah.
and he was in a band called the Playboys, and they were doing the cabaret end of town, and we thought we'd start up a rock club.
Yeah.
So that's what we did, and that's how that worked. And the guys that were in the band, Wendell Parnell, Peter Nell, myself, Peter Nelson, and Steve Ram was in the band, of course. And, we ended up playing there for many years. It was great.
Yeah, excellent. So Sylvester's is still around today, isn't it?
Still there. I went there around about 2 years ago, take an act through there, which was an AC/DC act out of Perth,
Yeah.
and saw some signage actually in the club that I actually put into the club when I first opened the club. So
So
it
what
was
year
amazing.
would that have been?
Ooh, that would have been the 69.
Wow,
So it's been around a while.
my favourite number. So you join a band called Karma with Steve Ram and Marie Klassen.
Yeah, Marie, as a 16-year-old, came on board in the band, yeah,
Wow.
playing at the club.
Interviewed Marie some time ago, and beautiful person, and obviously a great singer, as you know.
I've got an image of her in the band when she's 16, and it's
wow.
amazing, yeah, to look back.
Yeah, amazing. That 16-year-old girl in those days as well was ballsy enough to get out there and
She had a great
on her own.
voice.
Yeah,
For a 16-year-old, she
absolutely.
was amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You opened a lunch bar in Boulder. Tell me about that. What?
Well, when you're in the nightclub business, we decided that my wife and I decided we'd branch out and do a lunch bar.
Yeah.
And we had this vision about doing, deliveries to the mines, lunch bar, may as well deliveries to the guys out in the mines. They don't get food out there. And we made good money out of it. So
Wow.
we did this lunch bar called Gulliver's, which was in Boulder.
Wow.
And that's another part of the corporate puzzle, I guess,
A lunch bar in Boulder is like, people would walk in and say, I'll have 2 bags of gravel, a rock and a boulder, thanks. Oh, yeah, anyway. 1973, you toured with Karma.
Yes.
You had a contract to do 6 songs. What? A contract to record 6 songs?
Yeah,
or?
Sunshine Records
Okay.
wanted to do 2 singles a year.
Yeah.
So we put down 6 tracks.
Were they Perth, West WA based, Sunshine Records? or-
No, they're Eastern States company, yeah. And because we were touring, they liked the band. They saw the band. They liked the band. Roland Dott was the gentleman who's a West Australian,
Yeah.
who was employed by Ivan Damon. You may have heard the Ivan Damon circuit through many guys,
Yeah.
and he took a bit of a shine to us.
What's Roland doing these days?
Roland's got the night cruiser buses here in Perth.
Yes.
And he's a great guy. He was very helpful to us. He got us into the recording thing. And we did 3 tours in 2 years, just continually on the road doing the East Coast. And so he was basically in charge of the touring.
Yeah.
So that was good.
Excellent. 1974, you get in the Guinness Book of Records.
Yes.
Tell me about that.
Tell you about that? All right. The Hainault Tourist Mine in Kalgoorlie. I don't know who approached us about it, but they asked us if we'd like to go in the Guinness Book of Records, and we had to play underground for 24 hours.
So only in the mine.
In the mine, yeah. I think it was, I don't know how far down, but it was a fair way down. And we had to play for 24 hours, and it was all adjudicated, by the people to make sure it was legitimate. So we got through there okay, and apparently we're in the Guinness Book of Records as the deepest band in the world. So
Deeper than Deep Purple.
I would think so.
Wow.
Funny thing, 18 months later, where we were playing actually caved in.
Whoa.
So, yeah, a bit of fun. Yeah.
It's probably because they were growing lettuces above the
Yeah,
ground.
there were a few green things up there. There could have been lettuces actually. When you come to think of it, yeah.
1976, you played with Jim Rossiter in Catch and Alan Pithers. Tell me about that.
Well, there's some characters to talk about there,
absolutely.
as you can imagine.
Yeah.
But we just basically, this is in Kalgoorlie, where Jim wanted to to get together with us and Steve Ram, a few guys, and we got together and did Catch. And, I took him and Alan Guppy and trying to think of a few of the other players.
Guppy, wow, I've heard that name for a while.
Yeah, bass player.
Yeah.
Took them on the road and we went to the East Coast and did another tour. So did quite a bit of work with Jim and those guys, and we did the East Coast, came back, worked in Cal for a long while. But that was a great musical experience. Al Pithers, the band came to Perth, and Al joined the band in Perth, and they were just
So I remember interviewing Jim and him saying to me, if I remember correctly, just how many good musicians were in Kalgoorlie. And so it's a strange place, really, and there's a lot of good musicians hanging out there. So
well, you had the Steele brothers there, of course, Gary Steele and Kirk, and they ended up, being very well known country players on the East Coast. So, and they were playing in bands with us and things like that. So it was like a little potpourri of musos up there. It was great.
So Kalgoorlie was obviously closer to the eastern seaboard than Perth is by 5 or 6 hours. So
well, we basically put the acts together there, then jumped on the East Coast and did our bit there.
Amazing. So in 1979, you start a company called Focus with Charlie Cirolo.
Charlie Cirolo had the company started, Focus Promotions, and he was managing a few acts, and I was looking after my band after touring, the East Coast. Trying to get back to Perth is sometimes the promoters don't want to let you go. They want to keep you on the East Coast. So they told us there's no work back here for us. So we just put the money in the phone and worked ourselves back here.
Because you were in Beaufort Street, I remember.
Yeah.
So I think Charlie Cirolo managed the band that I was in at some time then, and we used to come into your office, and I think Jimmy Lee, I don't know, I just remember him as excited here in 1992. You worked with Jimmy Lee and tell me some stories.
Yeah, we've got to talk.
God, I could tell you some stories.
Oh, yes.
Can you tell me some?
Absolutely.
So that was all part of that whole Focus.
Yeah, Focus was John Villani. John Villani came to work at our office. We just headhunted people we thought could do the job. We brought him in because we wanted to cover the production side of what we were doing, because we had a lot of those bands, like the Motors and Gypsy and those sorts of bands and the Jets and stuff. And we just wanted to have guys on board who could record them, but also do the live with them as well. So, we just headhunted a lot of guys, brought them into the office. Yeah.
So, tell me some stories.
About Jimmy Lee. I mean, Jimmy Lee was possibly one of the greatest influence in my life.
Yep.
And a lot of people saw him a bit differently the way I saw him. To me, he was a very good businessman. Very good businessman. He knew how to turn the business over. But some stories I could tell you. An unknown man came to the Herdsman Hotel one night. He was a guy from the Union.
Yeah. And
he said he was from the Union. He showed his card and said, "I'm coming in." And I remember Jimmy Lee stepping up to him and said, "No, you're not." And this guy looked down on him. I think you know what I'm talking about. Looked down on him and said, "Why aren't I coming in?" He says, "You're not dressed correctly." And they refused entry. Yeah. So just things like that, very quirky things to Jimmy Lee. Yeah. He'd go to the track because he used to like the track.
Yeah, he used to love betting. Yeah.
Come back, and he had given me a couple of $1,000 after he'd been to the track, and he'd come into the office next day, and he'd be going like this, like, I thought I had about $5,000, So I had to produce the $2,000 and say, "He gave me this last night," Yeah. Very, very funny guy.
Yeah, cool. In 1983, you start Mouth Magazine.
Yeah, look, we thought that the industry lacked some form of, magazine of some sort, so we started Mouth Magazine. And you may remember the Mouth Magazine had the mouth on the front.
It was on the front cover.
That's right.
You may remember that.
I do, because we were right into your band, Pear Joker was a great band. We thought that there's a whole heap of bands out there that we just wanted to get out there and show the people what they could do. So we started Mouth Magazine,
Yeah, no, that was great. Yeah, and then, hasn't it changed, the whole, there's just no scene anymore.
There's
not, you can't.
Because you had Joe and those guys later coming along and doing 5 o'clock news, Express Magazine. Yeah. But Mouth Magazine was the one we used to put on on the tables in every pub in Perth. It was great.
I've still got the Yeah, I think, yeah, anyway. It's one of those funny things. So with Focus, yeah, the motors was probably your biggest success.
Yeah, they were great.
But, you know, Invaders, Stallion, Jets, Teddy Bears, Red Square, Spiny Norman, Gypsy. A lot of good bands there, you know. Yeah.
Yeah, we took a few of those to Singapore.
Yeah.
Started touring them.
And that was a Jimmy Lee connection as
Yeah,
well,
that's
wasn't
right.
it? And
Yeah, Jimmy Lee ran a company in Singapore called Quill.
yeah, that's
And of
right.
course his...
Peter Nell was telling me about
yeah,
that. I think.
and he started Quill here as well in Perth.
Yeah, yeah.
So when he went back to Singapore, you know, we just started that link of getting those acts across there. So it was basically his influences that got us there.
So were you still playing through all that
Yeah,
time?
I played up until about 83.
So I just thought you were a manager at that time.
Yeah.
This guy, he's just a band manager. But
Yeah, we used to get around a bit and, you know, I was still playing. But I just thought I could do more for the industry on the other side. That was always what I thought. And I could always do better for people by helping them on the other side of the industry. But Gypsy, for example, we recorded them in Singapore. A rather large studio we needed, and we brought in Gary Keaty from the East Coast, and we brought a guy out of England to produce the stuff. Did an album there. Number 16 independent charts in England, so did very well there. Motors, we did a TV special at the same time, so I was like running between these two acts in Singapore, and they were shooting at ridiculous times in the morning, but we did a television special, so which ran out throughout Asia, which is great for Motors.
Because Gypsy turned into...
Black Alice?
Black Alice.
Yeah, we had to change the name because there was a band in England called
Gypsy, yeah. That was with Rob Hartley, Jamie Page.
Yeah, Jamie Page, yeah. Vince Lenardi.
Yeah, Vince.
Joe DeMasi.
Right, bass player Vince and Joe. Yeah. Wow. Memories.
Yes.
So tell me about the Motors contract, because you start touring bands through Asia. What?
That was interesting. The funniest story about the Motors is when I first saw the band, they were playing at the Karrinyup Tavern as I think a four-piece. There was the Harris Brothers.
Yeah. Terry Barker and
Terry wasn't in it at that stage.
I thought.
And then we had David Cook, Nick Needus, and the two Harris Brothers. And I remember going up to them and saying, "Look, guys, I can make you a lot of money." And I said, "We're not interested in that. You know, we just want to do our thing." And I got a phone call the next day from Jamie Harris saying, "How much money?" which then sort of like...
Everyone's got their price on that, you know.
And then we started to develop the band with Terry Barker and, of course, John, of course, the keyboard player.
Bless his soul, Terry. And we've interviewed John. And
So that was the band. We put the band together, and then we just started to... They actually selected the material. It was like In Excess, and that was sort of like something we always made sure the band was 6 weeks in front of what was currently being played on the top 40.
So a Tuxedo Wave at first, weren't they?
That's, well, some of the guys were in Tuxedo Wave, They came out of there. Yeah.
The Clams.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah.
They're a bit smelly.
Not with lettuce.
No. Lettuce sort of...
It does.
It equalises everything.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, 1985, Warmia, WARMIA, founding member with Des Jose, Joe Cipriani, Joe Cosi, Peter Woodward, obviously musician junior at that time, and Jackie Kelly. Tell me about that, because, you know, today it's called Wham.
That's right. Yep. West Australian music. Yep.
So I'd like to know how that all started and what it involved, and then secondly, I'd like to know your thoughts on Wham today and what it's evolved into.
Well, I think the people in those days, and I was approached by them. I didn't approach them. They approached me to come, would you be interested? And I said, yeah, let's do something for the industry. So Joe Cipriani, Joe Cosi, Jackie, of course, and got together and invited myself and Des Jose. Invited a few other guys from the industry, but they declined. So we used to have our regular meetings.
What was it like with you and Des sitting at the same table?
Oh, it was fine. I mean, you know, Des didn't come to too many meetings because, you know, he fell off the pace after a while.
Yeah.
But generally, you know, it was fine. I didn't have a problem with it. We were there for the right reasons, I think.
Yeah.
But, you know, I think when you talk about Wham today, I think we were doing Warmia back then for what was happening in the day. But we never forgot about what the industry was about, where it had started. And I think Wham's lost their way with that. I think they should recognise, you know, where it began, how it began, and where it's gone to now. I think it's more about what's happening today more than instead of looking back. I think you should look back a little bit to move forward. You learn by history.
Yeah.
You know.
Okay. No problem. 1986, Gypsy, they recorded in Singapore. You touched on it before, but can you tell me a bit more about how all that happened? And I mean, it obviously went well in the UK. Did it chart in Australia, or?
No, there was some issues there. When the band finished recording, and we tried to get them back to Australia because they were over their visas. Finally got them on the plane. I had 2 bands to try and get on the plane the same day, and I had Gypsy, you know, holding me up with immigration. So, but we eventually got them on the flight and got them back to Perth. We were offered to do a tour with Def Leppard, but it's a buy-on tour. So
Sorry?
a buy-on tour.
All right.
In other words, you pay to play.
Yeah.
So, and of course, we just invested a lot of money in the project. So we couldn't come up with more capital again to go and tour. So I said to the guys, let's, you know, pull back a little bit, earn some money, then we can also go and do a tour in 6 months' time because the band's chartered, so, you know, we're there. But young musicians want to move on and want to move quickly.
And so do the old musicians, and you know, all the troubadours and the Mark IVs and the Statesmen, and in your era, if you like, everyone was just changing all over the joint. So
yeah, it turned out, of course, because we had paid for the actual album to be produced, we actually owned the album. So,
Cool.
and I've still got the masters sitting in my
Wow.
cupboard at home. But the band never developed from there, you know, because they
never got released.
never got released here in Australia.
Wow.
But some of the tracks were. The guy who produced it actually released some of the tracks. And I don't know quite how that worked, but it didn't work very successfully in the final of it.
Is this something you could release now, or it's just not?
Oh,
worth-
well, we've got the, I don't know what the tapes, what condition they're in, but, you know, we own them as property. So-
Segue. It's a segue for me to say, bring him into Mr. Mark Whitehouse. You know?
Thanks, Mark.
And-
I was here 3 or 4 weeks ago, and young David did some work for me.
Okay.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Yep. Converted all my VHSs into USB. Fantastic.
Wow.
Recommend it.
Yeah. So bring him in.
I will.
Bring the gypsy things
I will,
in.
mate.
And give it Jamie and ring, and I don't know. Get that band back together. We're on a mission from God.
Oh, my God.
You know. Let us talk about this. Okay. Focus joins forces with Concerts West. What was all that about?
Concerts West was a touring company that was Peter Nell and Trevor Burslem.
Okay.
Now, Trevor Burslem was the guy that was a 6PR surf commentator.
Yes.
You remember him?
Yeah, I remember
He used to
him.
run around little V-dub.
Yeah, I remember
and
him
do
coming up
surf
to
reports.
Gobbles a fair bit. as
Yeah,
well,
yeah,
then.
big man.
Yeah.
And they used to do a lot of touring with acts. And they wanted us to get involved because they didn't really know how to handle the rock acts. You know, they could handle the cabaret sort of things, but they didn't know how to handle the rock acts. So we came in and went into partnership with them, and that's where that really developed really well.
So, Old 55, Rene Gaia, Eric Burden, Steppenwolf, all those sort of... It was successful?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
It was a very successful thing.
Cool.
At the end of the day, like all good things, yes. But, you know, the Eastern States promoters realised that, you know, there was a bit of a gold mine here, and so they started to cut us out. But they were offering us deals that we couldn't meet.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And probably
move
so
on.
the other person was telling them to do
Correct.
that.
You move on.
Yeah. You toured the late Jeff St. John.
Yeah.
And we wanted to get him on this show before he passed away, but unfortunately we couldn't. So with Down Under. So where did you tour all of that?
Just into Singapore.
Yeah.
We did a couple of concerts in Singapore.
So it's Down Under with Fozzie and...
Fozzie and Paul Reynolds and you know, Joe and Alf Damasi.
Yeah.
You know, that was successful up there. We just did two dates in Singapore and came back, and we just started to develop Singapore a bit more.
Jeff was an unbelievable performer, eh?
Great.
Like I saw him once. And
Great. Great voice.
Yeah. So 1987, Metropolis concerts with Spy vs. Spy, Ramones, and because Metropolis had just started to sort of pack 2,000 people or something in
Metropolis was going to open because the America's Cup. And we walked in there, Jimmy and I walked in there, And they had no idea what they were doing. So we sat them down and said, you know, you need some help here. They built a stage that was like a metre by a metre by a metre. I mean, they didn't know what to do. So we actually sat down, worked out a deal with them, and we just provided their entertainment, national, international and local, for about 10 years, or 7 years or so.
Okay.
It was very successful.
I'm just still wondering why I never got into Metropolis, but anyway, let's move on. 2000 Entertainment Centre, Julio and Glaziers.
Yep.
What happened? Is there a story you can tell me about that?
Well, I know Alan's got a few stories about Julio, but
Just being Julio.
You don't want to talk about it, obviously.
oh no, look, it's fine. I just did the right thing. I just put a tour manager on and didn't speak to Julio. As simple as that. No, he was okay. We actually brought some investors in. We wanted to do it right, and we did 2 concerts with him here in Perth. First leg of the
Did the
Australian tour.
investors get a return?
Well, they didn't actually, because
Is there still a contract out?
more of a contract out on me, I think.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
But what actually happened was that they were supposed to start their tour in Australia here. And at that particular point of time, Paul Keating wasn't really the number one boy with the Indonesian government.
Yeah.
And the Indonesians held him on the airport strip there and wouldn't let him out of Jakarta.
Wow.
So, of course, our dates had to be moved, and, of course, that causes a bit of financial stress. But
Wow, unlucky.
we're okay. We got there, but it was just...
So it was something out of your control, that.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, well, bad luck there. So 2002, Perth music becomes corporate scene.
Yeah, I just got into the corporate scene
It
in
said,
2000.
did you ever book Our Generation?
Yes, I
That's
did.
a cheeky bugger.
I did. I did, didn't I, Gary?
You
Yes,
did it on
yes,
occasions,
yes.
yes. Not as much as we would have liked. He's trying to stir things up here.
And justifiably so.
Yeah, you know.
But I used to book Mag 7 as well.
Did you?
Yes.
How did you get good comments and more bookings?
Magnificent.
Magnificent. 7 magnificent comments.
Oh, look, we only used to book the best, you know that.
Yeah, yeah. So your son Sean,
Yep.
it's got written here, is taking over in 2020.
2020.
So it's a bit like the Mick Malthouse, Nathan
Buckley?
Buckley scenario, where there's a plan, future.
5-year plan.
5-year plan.
It's not like Russia where you've got a 7-year plan. Ours is a 5-year plan. And Sean's 3 years into the 5-year plan. So, and he's a muso. He's, he got taught by John Mayer, and so he's a good player.
Yeah. Was he in a band as well?
He was. He was playing in a band, original band.
Yeah.
So he sort of like knows the industry well. So
I've talked to him a few times.
Yeah, he's pretty switched on with it, so he'll be okay.
Oh, cool. It's great to be able to pass it on to your child as well.
Yeah,
isn't
well,
it?
I approached him and said, you either come on board or I close it down or whatever.
Yeah.
So thankfully he picked it up.
Oh, great. Cool. And so what is it like out there at the moment? Tell me. You're a booking agent. You see the nitty gritty. None of us get a lot of gigs anymore, and no one blames you guys for it. But what's going on? You think?
Well, we're in the same boat, as the musos. But I think the secret to any business is diversifying what you do. And at the office, we've diversified a lot. So, like for example, in March next year, we're doing opera at the Mill. We've been approached by a council. We're actually project managing this event. It's opera singers. We're flying in. We've got a 13-piece orchestra backing them, and we're doing the whole infrastructure for them. So I think diversifying is the way to go.
Yeah.
With the music industry as it stands, we're lucky in a way because we've got our corporate clients that we look after, and we've got a number of them that really that we do everything for, and there's some we just do a band for, but we've got a very strong base there in corporates. Sean's involved in the local scene, which is a tough scene.
Yeah.
But I think with the local scene, it's all about fresh, doing something new.
New.
That's what I think.
Can I give you my mobile?
Yes,
Brian?
Gary. I've got it actually.
Have you?
But yeah.
I just thought
Can
I'd
you-
give it to you
yeah.
again, just in case. Just to remind you that
Okay.
you can get in touch anytime.
Oh.
Duo, trio, 6-piece show band, 9-piece, whatever you like.
I'll check the
Thank
database.
you.
I think you're in there under several acts actually.
And see, whatever. So, sorry, I'm only joking.
Now,
with
Gary,
that,
you
mate.
and I got to talk about this.
Yeah, no
Because
worries.
we're going to make changes,
Yeah.
and we'll get you out there.
Yeah, cool. You let me know what changes I need to make, if I need to wear a dress or
We're working on that.
something.
We'll work on something.
And I hope that's all right, because I hope I'm not offending anyone, you know, because I'm a person, not a male or a female or
That's right.
anything. So the first album you bought was Rubber Soul, right?
Correct.
So that would tell me that you're a Beatles fan.
Correct.
And is that the biggest influence, you think?
Opening
for you?
influence when you are, yep.
Yep.
First thing I heard was the Beatles, and that
Yep.
was the thing that got me on the road.
Yeah.
That Rubber Soul album, because I didn't buy many albums, but the Rubber Soul album, I loaned it to a gentleman after I had it for 2 weeks and never got it back.
Have you heard it since, or
No, I haven't seen it since. I haven't seen the album since. But
other jobs throughout your life?
it's,
Can you tell me about that?
Yeah.
Sheepskin.
yeah, sheepskin valuer, I suppose you can call it. You basically went to the sale yards and you looked at the sheep in the pen and you worked out what you thought their pelt was worth when it was dried and ready to be produced. So
Wow.
that was what it was about.
Okay. Your favourite band of all time, Beatles?
No. Favourite band of all time is Yes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, loved that musical element and vocal elements. You know, they were the band that had all the harmonies but also had all the playing, you know. So I thought they were the ultimate.
It's
Loved
not-
Yes.
And it's not a band you could cover, is it? And
We
in
used to do a
some-
few songs
Yeah,
from Yes,
yeah.
you know, but it was just loved what they did. You know, the way the guys could play and sing at the same time and just the things they did, amazing.
I know this man, Pecco, loved
Yeah.
Yes, and
Well, Pecco was a good vocalist too.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, not only a good drummer,
yeah.
but and a very good manager of his own product. That's why we got on so well, because he used to manage his product and we'd do it in conjunction with him.
Yeah.
It was perfect.
Yeah, and so just a reminder, Pecco album, Strawny, Marky, Al, who am I talking to? You're putting me over to him and over to him. Handball, but yeah, buy the Pecco album, DVD. Huh?
Available.
It's available now?
Will be.
How much is it?
It would be 20, 25?
20, 25, 30,
25.
25? Okay, we'll say $25.
That's $5 each.
$5 each.
10, 15.
I thought all the money was going into producing more profiles, guys. Have you changed your mind? Sorry, Brian,
That's
I'm
all
just
right.
having a,
No.
you know.
I think it's good to mention Pecco. You know,
Yeah. Well, he gave a lot, didn't he?
he did, and he used to manage product. He's a very passionate man.
And that concert, 30 people, everyone came together and just, and the camaraderie was unbelievable. It was such a sensational night. And for me personally, just being on stage with Dave Hole and John Mayer, who as a kid I used to look on stage and go, wow, I wish I could be like them. Then I'm on the stage and I'm looking over and Pecco's crying on the side of the stage. It was just, yeah.
My favourite Perth band was Trilogy.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
John Ryder, John Mayer.
yeah,
You know, and trying to get Burnsy playing
yeah,
drums.
Nick Burns.
Just amazing.
Yeah.
You know, my favourite band. Perth.
Yeah. Wow. I didn't even ask you that question.
No, you
and I
didn't.
should probably ask what your. I used to ask what's your favourite Perth live band, but that question's never here anymore. So, if you were stranded on a deserted island, and you could only take one album with you, not two, not three, what would you take?
Greatest hits of Blood, Sweat and Tears.
Wow. Back to the early 70s. And,
Yeah, I mean, just the vocals, you know, David Clayton Thomas, and just the brass sections, and the way they used to put those albums down without just straight off the bat. There was no second takes,
Yeah.
you know, and you could hear the brass lines being overblown, and you know, it was just good, you know.
it's like this show, there's no second takes.
That's it. Perfect.
We don't have the money to.
Take it on the run.
Yes.
Love it.
So, your favourite TV show growing up?
McHale's Navy.
Yeah, wow.
Yep. Used to love that.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Okay. Any unfulfilled ambitions? Something you...
I'd like to get to Japan at some stage. I've never been there.
so just to eat the food, or...?
A bit of everything. I've been to most places in Asia. Never had a calling to the Americas, but I simply just love Asia, and I just haven't been there, and I'd like to go there, I guess. I'm actually learning Japanese, so
Wow.
just to try and get a little bit of background in there.
I'm learning Japanese.
Yeah, I think I'm learning Japanese. I think.
Sorry, what was that?
Oh, jeez.
There is a question here somewhere
Oh,
about
yes.
martial arts. Here it is. No, here it is. I cut it out. Your martial arts has lasted 36 years. Still going strong. And I believe before you came here tonight, you're teaching younger kids now.
Teaching kids, yeah, just martial arts, karate, which you know about, having been there and done it, Gary. You know?
So what belt do you have now?
Oh, black belt.
Black belt,
yeah.
of course.
But just been doing it for 36 years and love training and love teaching.
So what age are you?
Anybody from 6 years up who wants to learn. And, you know, a lot of the students are in your 40s, 50s, they want to learn how to do martial arts.
And there's still a lot of people interested.
Yeah, they are. They are. And, you know, it's an art. And that's the good thing about it. It's not a sport, it's an art.
Yeah.
You know? So, but it's all, again, about giving back, I guess.
Yeah, cool. Fantastic. So do you collect anything?
Nothing, but I'm a bit of a hoarder. So if you say I collect junk, you know.
Like what? Tell me.
Look, you know, I can't go past picking up the odd tool at Bunnings and, you know, sticking it in the rack and never using it, but never throwing it out.
Wow.
You know, so like doing the old DIY. So, you know, yeah. So a bit of a hoarder.
Working at home?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, DIY at home, love it. You know, building pergolas and not getting them.
not getting quite done. Are you one of those guys that starts things and there's a million of them not
I was
finished?
thinking more along the lines of making sure that you do the right things before you put it up.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because that's 9/10 of the whole thing,
That's
isn't it?
correct,
Make the foundations
exactly.
correct. And
No, it's all good. It's all a good structure.
excellent. So, Brian, what would you put on your gravestone?
It would have to be something lighthearted.
Mm.
And when I looked at that, I just thought maybe I came, I saw, and I left.
Yeah,
You know, something like that. Pretty basic stuff.
yeah, but that's true.
That's right.
You did come
Yeah.
sometime in your life
That's right. Yeah,
because you have children.
that's correct.
Yes.
Oh, gee, that's going to go down well.
No, look, I know that's probably a bit cheesy, but yeah, and you have seen,
Sean?
and you haven't left yet.
No, I haven't left yet, but I'm on the way to leaving, like we all are.
Yeah, yeah.
So we'll catch the last train out of here, I guess, at some stage.
You're looking good for your age, mate.
Oh, thank you.
Obviously,
Well, 25, got a few years to go yet. But,
okay. Let us ask the last question.
last question.
Is there something that we don't know about you that you would like to share with us, the audience? You can look down the barrel of the camera and share it, but you don't have to. It's not, you know, it's not a compulsory question, if you like.
No. I suppose I've always been a person who likes to think that you can help others. I think that's important.
Cool.
It doesn't matter whether it's martial arts or it's music or whatever, but and I've often said to Al, you know, if you need a hand with something, just give me a call.
Yeah.
I think it's important that everybody does that. You know, if we work as a group of people to get things done, I think it's important. You guys are fantastic. You guys, what you're doing, I laud. I think it's fantastic.
you.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, I think it's just helping other people is important.
Yeah.
That's all.
Mate, unless you got anything else to say,
I'm done.
he's going, you know, hurry up. Look, I'm done.
I'm done.
You're Davidson. No, I'm done.
Very good.
No.
So it's done and
You
Davidson are done.
Yeah, done. Yeah. Mate, so nice to have you in here.
Thanks,
Thank
Gary.
you so much for coming in and sharing your story with us. I really appreciate it. Don't worry about the lettuce behind you.
It's been the joke of the night, isn't
Yes.
it, lettuce?
Look, I don't know where these things come from, ladies and gentlemen, but thanks for joining us and listening to Brian's story and watching the profile. If you want to subscribe to us, please do. Give us a thumbs up, www.procopy.com.au or www.theprofile.com.au. Maybe I got it right that time, thank you, in that camera there. And look, thanks for joining us. Good night, Australia, or Western Australia.
I got sunshine on a cloudy day, and it's cold outside. I got the month of May. Yeah, I guess you say what can make me feel this way. It's my girl.
At ProCopy, we can transfer audio to CD, make CD, DVD and Blu-ray copies, transfer video to DVD, Blu-ray or HD, digitise slides and photos and supply custom USBs. You can see more details at procopy.com.au or call us on 08 9375 3902 for more information.